Welcome. Today we are treating the poem titled Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas. We are going to do a 360-degree analysis. In exams, you are going to be required to talk about aspects of the poem, perhaps the poetic devices, perhaps the themes, or some other aspects so chosen by the examination body. They want to do all-round analysis of the poem for better understanding of the entire poem. Do not go gentle into that good night. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to discuss the content of the poem, the poetic devices, and the themes of the poem. The content of the poem. The poem is about human attitude towards death. Death is seen as inevitable, it is feared, and most unwelcome. The poet deploys the personality of a son, encouraging his father to resist death. The persona believes that death should be resisted even at old age. It says in line 2, old age should burn and rave at close of day. Therefore, the son pleads with his father, using examples of 4 different people who resisted death when it came calling. These people are the wise men, the good men, the wild men, and the grave men. The wise men, the good men, the wild men, and the grave men. All these people resisted death, and therefore he implores his father, his dying father, to reject death, to rage against the dying of the lights. Many poetic devices are noticeable in the poem. The most obvious is the fact that the poem is a villanelle. It has 19 lines, 5 terces, and 1 quatrain, making 19 lines altogether. Each stanza has the rhyme scheme A, B, A, A, B, A. For stanza 1, stanza 2, stanza 3, stanza 4, and stanza 5. Then the last stanza, which is a quatrain, has the rhyme scheme A, B, A, A. Altogether, we have 19 lines. Another poetic device we notice is enjambment or run-on lines. You can see that the lines, each line does not end on its own, or most of the lines, in most of the lines, each line does not end on its own. Rather, it runs into the next line to have its complete meaning. That is an example of enjambment. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight. The line runs into the next in order to complete its meaning. That is an example of enjambment. Then we have alliteration. Alliteration is seen in line 8. Frail deeds, dance, D is alliterated in that line. Then we see line 10, sang the song. SS is alliterated in that too. Then we have line 14, blinding eyes could blaze. Line 14, blinding eyes could blaze. That's another example of alliteration. Then we have example of oxymoron, two contrary words juxtaposed. We have it in the last stanza, curse, bless. That's example of oxymoron. We have another one, blinding sight. That's another very good example of oxymoron. Then we have the use of euphemism in what seems as if the poet is afraid of death. He doesn't want to mention death. Death is harsh. Death is vicious. Death is wicked. Instead, he euphemizes the name of death. Instead, he calls death good night or close of day or dying of the lights. These are examples of euphemism in the poem. Then we go to the themes that are noticeable in the poem. First, we have the theme of death is inevitable. That is, death is inevitable. The poem says in stanza 2, wise men at their end know dark is light. That is, death is inevitable. Dark, that is, death, will surely come. Whether to wise men, whether to good men, whether to wild men, whether to grave men, or even the beloved father of the poets, death will surely come. Death is inevitable in humanity. Another theme is the theme of resistance to death. Death is inevitable, but people resist death when it comes calling. Wise men resist death. Good men resist death. Wild men resist death. And grave men resist death. And this child of the dying father also tells his father to resist death. Resistance to death. Humans resist death because they feel that they have not accomplished what they are supposed to accomplish. Wise men, for instance, resist death because they feel that their words have not sparkled electrifying belief all over the world. They have not spoken some words that are so deep, so powerful that will shake the whole world. Because of that, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men feel that they are good, but they might still be better, and their good deeds can still dance in Green Bay. Because of that, they refuse to go gentle into that good night. Wild men, wicked men who kill and destroy out of jealousy, they soon realize that their ways are evil and they grieve it on its way. So they do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men, serious men, too careful men, they also resist death. In their being too careful, they lose sight of a lot of things. And then later they realize that they could still blaze like meteors and be gay. And because of that, they rage against the dying of the light. Therefore, each man resists death because of one greatness that they feel they have not achieved. Another theme that we see there is care for the aged. Care for the aged. The aged are cared for, particularly when they are sick. The family members of the nuclear family, they rally round to take care of them. Just like we have this man in stanza 6. And you, my father, although this could be a woman too, The gender of that speaker is not indicated in the poem. Could be a man, could be a woman. It says, my father there on the sad height, that is on the sick bed. My father there on the sick bed. Do not go gentle into that good night. You see, theme of care for the aged in the poem. In sum, the poem is about human attitude towards death. Death is feared, and humans do not welcome death gracefully with open hands, but rather they resist it. And so the persona in the poem encourages his father to rage against the dying of the light. Please leave your comments on our page on how to serve you better in this analysis of poems. Thank you for today. See you again some other time.